All right, we're on air. It is April 13th. We are going to do a quick check-in on development tasks currently underway for Backdrop CMS. Quick announcement from the PMC. Again, we are working on a code of conduct. We have a GitHub repository with its own issue queue. If you have any thoughts about changes to terminology or anything you want to see included in the code of conduct, please visit that repository and add issues as necessary. We've skipped over a community growth section in our meeting for a while now to try and keep our meetings a little shorter. But in that time, we've had a bunch of new people show up in the contrib group. We've got new people porting modules and working on fun things. So I wanted to kind of give a call out to a few of them. I only looked through the last maybe 2 or 3 issues in the contrib repository, but I wanted to send a little shout out to FluxSauce for porting iframe filter module and Jackson for starting work on paragraphs module and continuing to show up in the community and help us get stuff done. Jeff, do you want to add a little note here about working hours?
Yeah, I have to talk to my family to figure out which hours, but if this sounds like a good idea, I'm sure I can find an hour to have open office hours in Gitter.
So this is, I think, Drupal does a really good job of having kind of a specific set of time where people are available to help other people in IRC channel. And I think it would be good if we did the same things. Great idea from Jeff, sort of just to say, if we can all set aside, or however many people who can set aside a specific chunk of time and say, I'm going to be available for questions for anyone who needs help with anything. I think that would be good too. I generally devote Thursdays to Backdrop, so as soon as these meetings are over, I'm often working on Backdropy stuff and hanging out in Gitter anyway. But yeah, Jeff, if you can devote an hour, that would be great. If we could get other people to devote hours on different time zones, I think that would be fantastic. And then maybe when we figure out what these times are, we can post them somewhere, like on our resources page or something, so new people who are getting into it and you know, want to find a time to get help can figure out where the information is. So I think that's a good idea in general.
Great.
So we've had a lot of activity going on in contrib lately too. And I only looked at this is only, I think, since last week. I picked out 3 new projects that got ported: paging, register country, and IP-based determination of country. There were a whole bunch in the list that I hadn't seen there until recently. So I just wanted to kind of thank everybody for doing all of this amazing work they're doing on contributed projects too. I know a lot of times in these meetings we stay very focused on core, and it looks like not a lot is getting done, but there's a lot of stuff going on outside of core right now too. And so I just wanted to kind of call out to all of that stuff that's happening too. All right, so for the website, backdropcms.org, I know last week there were a ton of new bugs that got posted in the issue queue. I tried to work through the ones that looked like they were the most bug-like and the least like things are just kind of a little off from place to place, and try and get most of those sorted out. Wes is also back and he's working on the new homepage redesign. And so I didn't want to do too much work on too many of the nitty-gritty details because I think all of that's about to be replaced by our new theme anyway. But I'm super excited to have Wes back on the case because he kind of got us most of the way there and then got busy and we're like, where's Wes? He's back to help us get us across the finish line. So I'm really looking forward to that. For the forum site, we implemented a fix that we thought would solve a bug, but it didn't seem to actually solve the bug. There hasn't been any progress on that lately. If anybody wants to help jump in on that issue, it's issue number 5 in the bakery queue. There's also a couple of issues in the forum module queue too that are referencing user experience problems and issues signing in. all of those I think are related to this bakery problem. So if anyone wants to kind of sink their teeth into bakery and try and figure out why session cookies aren't, or people aren't properly getting sessions set on the child site, then that would be a good place to help. It doesn't look like Olaf is here this week. I know last week he had a lot of notes on the translation server. It looks, I don't know where we are on that, but I don't know if anyone else has an update.
Yeah, I ported Podex, and Olaf and I have been working together to use that, but we're both just kind of stumbling through it as we don't know exactly how all the pieces fit together, but a little bit of forward momentum still.
That's great. Okay, so backdrop the product. Nate, do you want to do a little update here?
Yeah, all right. There's been lots of exciting things happening. So Backdrop 1.6.4 is the next bug fix release. There's no critical pending issues that we are aware of that would force a new point release of 1.6. But as always, like as things get fixed, we're merging into the latest 1.x and 1.6.x as well. I wanted to give a little shout out here, as some people are advising that we have a pretty substantial backlog of issues that need review. In the issue tracker for Backdrop issues, there's about 50 needs review issues. And in the Backdrop core repository, there's 146 pull requests. And so a lot of those pull requests, might be in a needs work state, which is why that number differs so much. But I always keep a pretty close eye on the RTBC queue. As of this morning, there was only one, and now there's 0 again. But getting items moved into the RTBC queue is like by far the most helpful thing that you can do to like move things into core more quickly, because we can have a review backlog even more so than a committer backlog. We have a review backlog. So if you guys have opportunities to just test out other pull requests that aren't your own, that would be a very helpful tool to help move things along in the 1.6.x queue as well as the 1.x queue. So let's talk about 1.7. 1.7 is the next release of Backdrop that comes out May 15th. I feel like it's about time that we need to start reiterating the fact that there is a code freeze at the end of April, which I think April is 30 days. Yes, 30 days. So we've got only a couple weeks left of actual implementation of new features before we'll do the freeze on the code base and then hammer out any issues that we have before the May 15th release. Issues that have had progress since last week. I haven't taken a look at the status report page. I think that we're getting some design feedback there from others. I know we talked a little bit about this during the design meeting. Yeah, it looks like there's a lot of activity going on in there. Thank you guys for your continued work on that. As that comes to completion, mark RTPC whenever you guys think it's ready. Redesign the Views UI. That one needs some feedback as well, although I see Gregory has been updating it pretty effectively. Oh, and Wes did a redesign or did a pull request update as well. So awesome to see that moving forward. Again, is in a state where we need eyeballs on that to make sure everything looks okay. So opinions are more than welcome on both of those issues. Page element blocks, issue 1704. I gave this a review this past weekend. Dr. Wilmot did a re-roll before I looked at it, and now is on the hook for doing another update, and he's committed to implementing those fixes. Thank you very much, Dr. Wilmot. I see you're in this video. Awesome work on that. Functionality wise, it totally is rocking. Like, it works. There's no issues with the functionality. I just left some feedback regarding the implementation. So yeah, once implementation details are cleaned up, then I think that one is good to go. Layout relationships is issue 2134. There hasn't been any new progress on this in the past couple of weeks. I know I said I was going to review it and I didn't get to it. Speaking of reviewing, I've got extra time coming up this weekend. I'm taking off an extra day trailing it, and then next weekend I'm taking off 2 days before the weekend starts. So we've got some good opportunities to get some extra reviewing in there. So hopefully I'll be turning around my review times a little bit quicker. Let's see. Other people can still take a look at that layout relationships issue, though. Yeah, feedback is definitely appreciated. This next issue, port the views pane displays into blocks, issue 2433. Kind of adds superpowers to the views block displays. I don't think that there's been any activity on this issue recently. Just this would be totally awesome if we could get it implemented. It really kind of put a focus on, 3 killer features for the layout module. But that one at this point is looking kind of like a wish list type item rather than a likely to be a part of 1.7. I somewhat selfishly tacked this one onto the list of features for 1.7. 2630 is an issue that allows you to upload images into the rich text editor via copy and paste or drag and drop. And I think it's super cool. And that one I really could use some more reviews from other people. I saw that there were a bunch of people that tested it. That was awesome. Thank you, guys. But yeah, some sign-offs on that one because I feel a little guilty submitting an issue, rolling a pull request, and then merging it all. So I think I need external eyeballs on that to give it a blessing before we can merge that into core itself. That's it for the items that are of note. There's a bunch of items that are tagged for the 1.7 release, though, so we don't bring them all up during the meeting, but there's a lot of other functionality that we're also working on for 1.7. You can check the issue tracker for a full list. That's it. We move into a general discussion, questions. Do you guys have anything you'd like to talk about?
What happened to the references thing? The reference?
I haven't had a chance to work on it. If anyone would like to help me work on it, they're more than welcome to help. I do have some free time right now.
I removed that from the list because it's not necessarily something that needs to get into a future release anymore. It's got a contrib project and we can continue to do work there. It doesn't have a stable release yet, so I think people are still using the other reference modules that do have stable releases. I tried to put on one of my projects lately and ran into some issues, so I wanted to file these and get these ironed out. But I think we should continue to work on the stuff that needs to get worked on in the contrib queue before it gets slated for inclusion in core. And I think that, not having people using it is why it's not moving forward very fast. I think if we can get more people using it, that'll be better. So I think we probably shouldn't put it in core without people using it too. So I would love to see it kind of evolve in contrib a little more. And then once it's ready, put it back on the list.
Yeah, you mentioned
where we went with that. Like, what was the major? Which were the major issues? Like, what made us stop?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. What made me stop is that I started trying to write all the tests that we need for it, and it's an overwhelming amount of tests, basically, because there's so many different combinations of like referencing different entity types and bundles and the autocomplete selecting and stuff like that. So I got quickly overwhelmed by trying to do tests against all the functionality that the module provides. So I mean, and unfortunately, it doesn't seem like many people really love jumping in and writing tests. So I haven't had much help with that. Nate said a couple times like, "Oh yeah, sure, I'll help with that," but you know, given all the things that he could work on, I think writing tests for a reference module is not at the top of his fun list.
Yeah,
so it's
tests are not fun.
So there's a couple of issues in the issues queue that need help with just the core stuff. There's the reverse views integration. We have the views tables linking one way but not the other way. So I think we can look at a list of things referenced by a node but not the things referencing a node. So one of those still needs to be redone. So I mean, you can just look at the module and contrib and see if there's anything that you want to help with. But yeah, the testing stuff is where I'm just overwhelmed.
Yeah, these things don't prevent us from making a release of reference module though, and I think that would help. Get
people using it.
That would get people using it. Yeah, thank you. I don't know why my verbs were not working. But yeah, once there's a stable release, then it will be accessible via project manager and backupcms.org and all of those things.
We don't have to have tests or an upgrade path for release and contrib.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
but we do need those things for.
So I'll re-review all of the issues, try to address the couple of problems that people have already found, and then do a release. And then we can worry about all the test coverage before and if we integrate it with core.
Yep.
Yeah, I was about to say that we should kind of release it. If tests is always missing, mark it as a pre-release or something like that, because people are not installing it. It's a great portion of people that will not be installing it if it's not available with a project browser. So at some point I mentioned.
Also,
sorry. Go ahead.
I think it's a good thing to bring up at this time. Also, maybe I don't know. So anybody that's been in touch with the security releases coming out from Drupal, the references module, the plural version that contains a node reference and user reference module, has been marked unsupported on Drupal.org currently.
Okay.
And that's because there's an undisclosed vulnerability in it that we don't know what it is yet.
Wow, we should contact them and figure out what they're...
We already have. So what we've done is right now we're working with the person that is trying to become a new maintainer for that module, because there's like 120,000 sites that are using that project, and all of the backdrop sites that are using references as well. So we're working to help the person that is taking over the module fix the unknown issue with it, and then apply that to the backdrop version as well. But the only reason I bring that up is that kind of it brings to the fore, like, it would be nice to have this alternative available, because the fate of the references module is shaky right now.
Okay. Well, my project docket has a few gaps in it right now, so I unfortunately have time to work on this. So so for better or worse, I will get something done on this before next week.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
With references and reference module, I know that the underlying implementation is different, but are there, like I know not in Drupal perhaps, but are there paths from switching from one to another? Like, are they interchangeable? If a site starts using it and then they change their mind, can we easily switch to the
Not yet. That's what Jen really wants.
There will be an upgrade path. I'm not sure how official it'll be, but I know I'll have to make one because I've got a lot of sites that are using references right now, and they should be using reference in the future. So I'll definitely be making an upgrade path that goes that way. We might also consider an upgrade path from entity reference in Drupal 7, which should be a little easier, I think, because the data structure is more similar there. But and then the core taxonomy term reference field too is something that I want to work on as well. So maybe there'll be upgrade paths for everything. There'll definitely be some sort of upgrade path to get people off of references and onto reference. But it might be in like references module, not in reference module. So we'll figure out where.
The reason I was asking is that maybe if we get it like say in backdrop 0.9 or 0.8, whatever, it will be great to say, all right, you're using that module in Drupal, so you can upgrade your site to backdrop because that's in core now.
Yep.
It would be great to say, doesn't matter if you use references or reference, it's supported by core. So just
yeah. I agree.
We'll do something. We just haven't figured out the best way to do it yet. Just because, like, I don't think having it as soon as you enable the reference module, it shouldn't automatically just start upgrading all your other fields right now, because they might have a specific use they want to use one or the other for. But we'll figure it out.
Yeah, with tests, it might not be fun for regular people, but people with OCD might find it fun. Their problem might be that they don't know how to write tests. So I'm a more like see and do person. So if there was like because I did search for video tutorials or something like that. It's just that lately I have very limited time.
Yeah.
But remember how we had the issue with forms not saving after a change that we did? There were various forms not saving. And I go, see, if we had tests for that, I would really like. It's one of the things that I do. I try things all the time, and I would love it if I converted my manual process to tests, to automated tests. But it's just I don't speak tests. That's the problem.
Yeah, I've done unit testing in other languages and stuff in the past, and found that much easier than the test framework we're dealing with, just because there's so much setup and teardown, and you're basically like reinstalling an entire site for each test. So within each test, you do actually a bunch of like assertions, and so it's like sort of the structure of how to test all the different things with a minimum number of like reinstalls without the tests actually interfering with each other. And so, I mean, just the architecture of the testing is something that I'm having trouble with.
Yeah.
Which I guess is a standard Drupal thing. So, but yeah, this is like the one thing in Drupal that I just never really got totally familiar with.
Yeah, I must admit I'm the same way. I started working on Drupal tests only when I had to figure out how to do them for Backdrop, and it is really complicated because you start with like install your site, and then you're like add the fields, and then you're like test the field, and then you're like change the field, test the field again. It's just like you have to build the site in the test, and it's a lot of crazy work to do. But
if that's repetitive, then there must be like a template that you copy and paste or something for the repetitive, like the installation part. I mean.
Well, yeah, that's why you sort of have it's sort of a question of like when you run a test, it actually does this whole process, and then within each test, there's like a bunch of like assertions, like assert this and stuff like that, and so I mean it's just a question of how many individual tests you do and grouping them together so in a way that they make sense. So when you run a test, you know what you're running. Yeah, I mean we can have a separate discussion on this at some other time, like But yeah, if you want to help out, we can jump on a call and we can like look at it and discuss it and stuff. So if people want to help out with this, I'm more than happy to have this discussion.
There's a wheel for me to help. There's no time. Just that's the problem. And if I knew how to write tests, I would dedicate time. Now I have to dedicate time to learn how to write tests and then do it properly as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome to the problem. But yeah, I'll work on getting a release out for the module since we don't need all the tests in place, and I have some in place. And what I'm doing is, I mean, I really should have been writing tests from the beginning when I was working on this, because that's just so much easier than going back and trying to remember everything you accounted for. So I'm sort of making sure that every issue that I address, now that people find, there's a test in place for that, so at least any issues going forward, we don't have the same problem again.
Yeah, that's great. All right, is there anything else we should talk about that we haven't talked about yet, or that people want to get into? Okay, well, why don't we go ahead and wrap up this call? We're a little bit over time anyway. Thank you guys all for jumping in and watching. And if you have any ideas for next week's meeting, definitely let us know. We'll work on cleaning up these agendas too going forward.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.